Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. Now joining me at the sports desk to discuss a little MLB, Chris Podymaitis, and new to the team, Marc St. Oh, what is it?
Marc Jean-Louis.
Marc Jean-Louis. I'm sorry.
Casey. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, he's new, so we're getting him involved. But we want to talk about the Sox-Rays series. It's been a good one so far. We were looking for the sweep last night, didn't get it. Series at 2-1 right now for Boston. Last night was probably the best game of the series we've seen, really down to the wire.
Sure.
Good game. Chris, why don't you start us off? We'll talk about the series a little bit so far.
Well, first off, games 1 and 2, you couldn't have asked for a much better start to the series. I mean, when you're going up against Matt Moore and David Price, two of the best pitchers in baseball alone, honestly, I thought if they could get back to Tampa with a 1-1 split, I would take that every time. But they surprised all of us, and they hit both starters really hard. Matt Moore only lasted 4 1/3 innings in Game 1, 108 pitches, 8 runs, 7 of those earned. I mean, right there, you can't, like I said, you can't ask for anything more than that. They got down 2-0 in that game. Lester gave up a home run early, or 2 home runs early, but they fought back against a tough pitcher. They showed that they're not going to give up, and they just put on a rout, 12-2 in that game. Lester was very impressive in that game, 7 2/3. There were only 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 solo shots, and really that first home run, I was on a pitch after Deshaun Rodriguez that should have been called strike 3 to end the inning. Instead, he gets another chance, and he hits the ball over the Green Monster. But after that, Lester was pretty much flawless, and every single hitter in that game for the Red Sox had a hit. 7 different hitters at RBI, so it was a full team effort. And the bullpen obviously closed it out for the last inning and a third of it. In Game 2, again, you look at it, pitching was good enough. Lackey wasn't the best we've seen, but he was good enough. And David Price, 7 innings pitched, 7 earned runs. I mean, again, 7 earned runs against David Price is well earned. And Ortiz had those 2 home runs. It's great to see him. It's like flashback to 2004 and 07 with him having these huge hits to take you to the World Series. Man, I'm not foreshadowing too much here, but it's easy to get excited for sure. And the bullpen in Game 2, 3 2/3 innings pitched, only 1 hit. So they shut the Rays down. Then in Game 3 last night, it was kind of a pitcher's duel. Alex Cobb, Clay Buchholz both pitched well. Buchholz made 1 mistake. Longoria, 3-run home run. You can't give him anything good to hit. You cannot let him win the series for the Rays. And I mean, it's been a fun 3 games, and hopefully tonight they can close it out, 3-1 against the Rays.
Yeah, within this series, we have seen a lot of mismatched pitching when we really thought we were going to see pitching battles.
Definitely.
And some pitching duels. Marc, what have you seen in this series between these two teams?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go back to Game 1, I mean, you have a whole bunch of people thinking that, Matt Moore, the ace of the staff, followed by David Price, and the other ace of the staff, they're thinking that they're going to come into Fenway Park and absolutely stymie the Red Sox offense. Well, I think that offense for the Boston Red Sox really showed through. I mean, they finished the regular season, I believe, first scored in runs. First in almost every single offensive category. I think they came second, batting average, I believe. They hit 277 only behind one team. That's correct. And so, I mean, absolutely during this series, the Boston Red Sox offense has really come through. I mean, they're hitting .308 in this series right now, absolutely. And so I think it's going to go a really long way going into Game 4 tonight against Tampa Bay down in Tampa Bay, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the kind of performance that you want to hear from your team in the playoffs. I mean, the sweep's what you like to hear, but when they're playing like they've been playing, putting up the numbers they are, you got to show some confidence in your team. Marc, get a little preview out of you for tonight. What do you see happening in this game, and do you think the Red Sox close it out?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. After what you saw from last night, Jose Lobaton with a walk-off home run to the pull-off of Koji Uehara, absolutely, that was devastating because Koji Uehara, he's a pitcher that's gone, I think, at 1.47 innings in a row without giving up a home run. So, I mean, that's an absolute phenomenal stretch right there. But I do take Boston in Game 4, absolutely. I mean, you got 2 pitchers going up head-to-head. We have Jake Peavy and Jeremy Hellickson. And absolutely, since the Red Sox have gotten Jake Peavy during the midseason from the Chicago White Sox, he has been just what the Red Sox should have asked for, 4-1, absolutely going to this game. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays, they do not have good success against Jake Peavy in the past. I mean, they're only hitting .238 against him as a team, so absolutely, I do take the Red Sox. And also, you have the top 3 hitters for the Boston Red Sox offense. I mean, you got Jacoby Ellsbury leading off. I mean, he's a stolen base threat right there with 52 stolen bases. And then you follow that up with Shane Victorino, who's also having a high batting average this season with .294. He also adds 21 stolen bases to the team. And then absolutely you got your middle-of-the-lineup hitter in Ortiz. He's just been phenomenal. 2 home runs, I believe, in Game 2 of the series. And, he's just going to bring more offensive power to this Red Sox team right now, as I see it.
Now, Chris, I know we're getting some pretty strong bias from you, but do you think the Red Sox close it out tonight?
I do. I think the matchup sets up well for the Red Sox. When you look at Jake Peavy, since he's joined the Red Sox, he's 4-1, and in 7 of those starts, he's gone 6+ innings. So this is a guy that goes deep into ball games. He competes, and he hasn't been in the postseason a lot. I think he's a guy that would love to help a team get to the ALCS single-handedly. And against the Rays hitters only hit .216 against him on the roster. But there are 2 guys that do have good success against him they have to watch out for. One, James Loney, batting .323 and 2 home runs. Ben Zobrist batting .308 against him. Those are 2 big bats in the lineup. One good note, Longoria only batting .200 against him. So if this is a game where if Peavy can solely basically shut down Longoria, that will go a long way for the Red Sox. Because Longoria, we've seen over the past couple of years over his career, he loves the postseason. I think 9 postseason home runs in his young career. I mean, that is pretty outstanding. And Hellickson has struggled a bit. He's only gone 5+ innings 3 times since July 31st. He's really struggled since about the trade deadline. His ERA is 5.17 for the season. So this is a guy that definitely struggles. At the Trop, he has an ERA of 4.77. So this guy that struggles at home, he's struggled recently. And, Red Sox have been hit or miss against him. But one thing I find interesting is that most of the time we see, if it's a left-handed pitcher, we see Gomes bat. If it's a right-handed pitcher, we see Nava bat. But Hellickson's a righty, but actually Gomes has better numbers off him than Nava does. Nava bats 154 against him, Gomes bats 333, but it's Nava that got the start. So it'll be interesting to see late in the game if Hellickson's still in there. Do you pinch hit Gomes, who has better effectiveness against that? But overall, I think Tampa used a lot of their bullpen last night, and they had to. It was a Game 7 for them. So I think that they're going to be tired. Let's see how much how resilient Tampa can be. We've seen them time and time again pull it out. I think Peavy is a guy that you want to have on the mound. And if he pulls it out, that's a big trade that Charrington made at the deadline, because if it's on him, it's Dubron, who was struggling towards the end, or Dempster, who was pretty much mediocre all season. So to have Peavy going tonight, I think that's huge for them. I think they definitely pull it out and take the 3-1 series win.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add on to what you're saying, yeah, definitely. I agree with the point you said. This was definitely a Game 7 for Tampa Bay, what we saw last night in Game 3. The pitchers that pitched in that game, they had to exert every amount of energy that they had in themselves just to get that 5-4 win on the walk-off home run. And not to mention, Tampa Bay they have an ERA of 8+ so far in this postseason. So absolutely, they're giving up a lot of runs. And so you take a look at 2 of the hitters in the Red Sox lineup. You have David Ortiz hitting .375 with 3 home runs against Jeremy Hellickson, who hasn't pitched that great this season. Once you said, again, 12-10. Yeah, he has a winning record, but again, an ERA of north of 5.
Yeah.
And then you also take a look at our catcher, Jared Saltalamacchia. He's hitting .320 also with 3 home runs against Jeremy Hellickson.
So it seems like the strategy here against Hellickson should be come out swinging, attack, and get this guy rattled early.
Definitely.
Because his numbers are really shaky, whether it's against the Red Sox, whether it's at home, or situationally.
He hasn't lasted long at all since July 31st. I was looking at his game log, and it's 3 2/3 innings pitch, 4 1/3 innings pitch, and basically I think he's a guy where if he doesn't have it, he has to go to the bullpen, especially now with the Rays, down 2-1.
And with their bullpen so depleted after
exactly.
last night.
They use pretty much every single person you possibly can, and I think if you're Boston, the best thing that Boston does is they grind out pitchers, they grind out at bats, they see a lot of pitches, and I think if they can chase Hellickson, even if they only get a run or 2 off Hellickson in the first, say, 4 innings, if they can get to that bullpen early and make those tired relievers throw, hopefully capitalize on a few mistakes. Tampa, I think, has to be perfect the rest of the way, and it's hard to do that against a team like the Red Sox, who take advantage of mistakes. And late in games, the last night against Rodney, they're down 4-3 and they pull it out. It wasn't the best. It was on a sacrifice hit by Pedroia that they got the game-tying run, but they still got it. And that's what this team has done. I think with that resiliency from the Red Sox, I think they'll find a way to get it done. Hopefully, Hellickson has an off game for us.
Yeah, now, speaking of bullpen, Marc, I wanted to touch back on one of your earlier points, that home run off Koji Uehara. That's something Red Sox fans have not seen. Never
Absolutely.
A home run. We've barely seen hits off
it's
him.
Impossible.
It's
almost impossible.
So with that being said, and in this new environment of American baseball, and he's been having so much success, and all of a sudden a walk-off home run to break all that success. How do you see him bouncing back for the rest of the playoffs?
Definitely. You even go back to when that streak ended. Absolutely. You saw Koji Uehara. He went back out there again, and again we see the regular Koji Uehara again. Absolutely lights out, shutout, and get the Red Sox to win. Because I mean, when he came over to the Red Sox, he was not exactly meant to be in that closer role all the way. I mean, looking at Andrew Bailey, I mean, who was supposed to be a closer, also Joe Hanrahan, but they both go out, and absolutely, I mean, you go to Koji Uehara, and he has done nothing but absolutely deliver for the Red Sox this season. I think we're going to see more of that because it's like he's definitely come up to the call of duty ever since he's been put into that closer role. So.
Yeah, I think he's been the Red Sox MVP this season when you look at it, because if he doesn't step in that closer role, he's ineffective. Who else do you turn to? And, I mean, I know they end up winning the division by 8 games, but let's say 4 or 5 of those games you lose because Uehara isn't there, and a closer isn't able to shut the door. That makes things a lot more tighter. You have to fight a lot harder at the end of the regular season. You can't coast as well. You definitely don't have home field advantage. But, man, I think that hit last time was probably just like the law of averages, as much as anything else. You know, I think he retired, 37 straight batters at one point this year without a hit. So, I mean, you know, it's about. I mean, it's going to happen. He's going to give up a home run. I mean, it's going to happen here or there. But in Game 2, he shut the Rays down in that 9th inning. I think he almost struck out the side on 9 pitches. I mean, they cannot touch him. So it's not like it was his first postseason appearance with the Sox, and he struggled. He showed in Game 2 that he can shut them down. So I think it was just a blip on the radar, and he'll be fine going forward.
Well, we'll see how Uehara and the Red Sox bounce back from this loss and see if they can close it out in Game 4. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank
Stay
you.
tuned, and we'll be back to close it up with JMS and UMass Athletics.